Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here for this daily medicine transmission. It is February 16th, 2021. Let's move over to the right mode here. So hope everyone is doing well, taking very good care of themselves. The moon is still in Aries. I hope you're drinking water. This is definitely a time of inflammation if you aren't feeling it already. So we're going to talk about a little bit about the moon moving from Aries into Taurus today. We're going to talk about the concept of metamorphosis and emerging from the chrysalis and how that is not an easy and oftentimes very painful process. And we are just going to take it one step at a time, my friends. So I hope everyone is doing well, like I said, taking very good care of themselves. I want to share a dream that I had last night that really reflects yesterday's transmission pretty well, and also feeds into this concept of metamorphosis and what that actually implies, because there is a falling away when we go through this process, just like the death process. In order to make space for something new, something has to fall away. And we are in the process of that right now, and we have been for a while. And since this is such a massive metamorphosis, such a massive falling away of the old, the timeline for it is so drawn out, and it is really challenging many people in terms of their patience and their ability to hold steady. And we talked about this yesterday, about holding the line and how we can connect to the Orion traits in terms of being adaptable, but also very firm in our position and mastering our willpower in terms of the position that we are holding, so as not to be, pulled around and consistently emotionally all over the place and turbulent, which is a real challenge when we are about to come into a sun in Pisces and a lot of the boundaries start to fall away. We're in the last degrees of the sun in Aquarius. And for as much as the sun is at its detriment in Aquarius, it is in the sign opposite of its home territory of Leo. With all of the other Aquarius energy that has been happening, the sun has been very much supported during what usually is a time of very little power. So we're moving into the last degrees of Aquarius. We are actually at 29 degrees Aquarius today. The Sabian symbol is a butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. This is what we are living through right now. So I'm going to throw the reading up for today so you can kind of watch what's going on here as I tell you about this dream. And I know that I'm going early today, but here's the reality here. Nobody's watching this live anyway, and I'm getting way more traction on BitChute. So if you want to come over there and check out the recorded video on BitChute, it's going to be up there every day as well. And I just have shit to do. I want to get started early. This message came out loud and clear, and there's really no reason for me to wait. So if you're used to me being on a little later and you're wondering what's going on, I'm just going for it. And I'm really just using YouTube as a free platform for streaming right now until I can move over to another streaming platform that is not YouTube. So it's clear that they're stifling my content. I've been talking about that for a while. So at this point, I'm just kind of using YouTube as a free place to land and get the videos streamed and out there, and pass it on to other platforms where I'm getting a lot more traction and a lot more view count. So if, that's what's going on with that. So we're going to look at this transmission today. We're going to look at this reading today. I'm going to give you this transmission about metamorphosis, because what you see at the center of all of this is the death card. And there's a couple things I want to point out about this, and also want to relay my dream from last night as well, so that we can tie all of this in. Because if you remember from yesterday, we had the Queen of Keys sitting at the top of our awareness here, and the Buddha prepares, number 13, the same as the death card here, number 13, pulling in our inner power, realizing that we have to be still in this process, and wait for the as we prepare for the transition moment. And the Buddha prepares, when that card flips, that is the emerging from that inner realm, from that chrysalis. And so you can really start to see, as we weave all of this together, that we are in a moment here where we are about to emerge. And the sun, like I said, sun is going to come into Pisces, and on the 18th, Mercury is going to station direct on the 20th. So this coming weekend, and the 19th is a first quarter square with a sun in Pisces and a moon in Gemini. And so we are really going to be given a chance. We're going to be challenged. We're going to have a crisis in action. Are we going to crawl back into our chrysalis, which is not really an option, but we are going to try to? Or are we going to have faith and realize that if we want to access the collective psyche and the range of ideas that are out there for us, and really engage in that North Node in Gemini, which is now moved to a new degree, 17 degrees Gemini, right? The head of a robust youth becomes a mature thinker. And as we see here also in this reading, we've got the Queen of Scrolls, the Queen of Swords coming out twice. Wow. The karmic trench turned on its head. We're falling out of our old karmic ways. This is part of the metamorphosis process, but damn if it hasn't been painful and really frustrating, and like emotionally painful, very physically painful. I mean, holding so much energy in our bodies, just very disruptive in so many ways. And even with an amount of success here, the Six of Discs, the moon in Taurus, even with that, there is a letting go that still needs to happen. And as you can see, like I said, the center of the reading. So yesterday's reading, we had the Buddha prepares, we had the Queen of Keys at the top of our awareness, having some confidence in our authority and all that we have cultivated, and a sense of responsibility for those, and really just feeling pretty sure of ourselves, right? And here's our Six of Discs too, the success in the material realm. And the spider came out. So last night in my dream, we just bought a house last month. There's definitely work that needs to be done. There's work that needed to be done that we didn't discover until after we were in the home. And as anybody who owns a home and has had to, knows that it's a never-ending process when you own a home, and especially if it has work that needs to be done. So it can cause some stress, of course, and you're always wondering if it'll ever be done. And anybody that owns a home says to me, because this is the first time, right, that I've owned a home, and what is always said is that it's never ending, right? So of course there's always a little bit of stress when you've never really dealt with that kind of situation. But even in that sense, there's a metamorphosis and an emerging and transformative process that goes along with the work that you put in. So we are doing this work and completely regutting the master bedroom and the adjoining den that is eventually going to be my studio and office, and soon it's going to be done, very soon. So we are cleaning it up and getting it all figured out and ready for when they come and install all of our carpet. Okay, so the dream last night about this, though, was in the corner of that room, there was a web right in the corner of the room, and there were these massive spiders. I mean, just massive, like as big around as my own face, right? Just huge. And on this web, they had an egg that was bigger than their own bodies, right? And they were kind of all huddled around it and very focused on it and touching it and surrounding it and focusing on it. But it was massive. It was, like I said, it was as big as they were, this egg that they, all of these spiders were focused on. And there were other animals too. I get the sense that there were rats there, but it's really hard for me to remember. It was the spider and this giant egg that I remember, and sitting like in the corner of that room. Okay. So the spider, as you know, came up yesterday in the reading as well as with the Buddha prepares, right? That death card, the metamorphosis process, that it is happening within, right? Within the chrysalis. And then when it's time, it breaks open and then we emerge, right? So Saturn has moved into the degree it's going to be squaring Uranus. Oh, that's the other thing too. Tomorrow, Saturn is going to square Uranus. Oh, wow. There's so much here. Saturn in Aquarius is going to square Uranus in Taurus. So much tension and so much need of release when it comes to our future and what we see in the future and what is about to unfold in the collective sense with the natural process. Again, the natural process of unfolding that has been testing us and consistently triggering our own awakening process with Uranus and Taurus. And so they're going to be square tomorrow as well. And so now that Saturn has moved into this next degree, it had been into the degree of the emergence from the cosmic egg. And the shell of the egg, just like the cocoon of the butterfly, needs to fall away. And there is a struggle through this process. There's a struggle to emerge in a new form. And there is no doubt in my mind that in the process of emerging, first of all, you have to struggle. You have to actually peck your way out. Whatever animal is in the egg, whatever being has to peck their way out, has to push their way out, force their way out. It is not just like, oh, it opens and so beautiful. No, the butterfly not only has to go through its transformation process, a complete biochemical overhaul within this chrysalis, and then has to, in its new form, push its way out of the cocoon. And so we are in this process, but on a global, dimensional scale right now. And us as humans are consistently being challenged in this process because it's something we've never done before. We are moving into brand new territory. And so if you're struggling with this, I know I have been, oh wow, every piece that is meant to fall away in terms of my own karmic trench, as we see, as my own thought processes, the emotions that are part of the shadow that is unresolved. All of it is just coming to the surface, and I feel it trapped in my body, and it's so painful, and it's so disruptive, and it's constant release. And if I'm not releasing, then it's in my body, and it's sitting there causing pain. So we are merging out of this egg, and this death process is the letting go of all that had been in the process of changing and transforming. And there is a certain amount of emptiness that's in between the destruction and the transformation, that I think will be some of the biggest struggle that all of us will have to deal with. But right now, we are going through the pains, the actual painful process, and the struggle that it requires for us to push out of this egg. And we see where we're going, and there will be, with Saturn, new versions, new archetypes in order to look towards, right? And with Saturn, it's very formulaic. It is very structured. There's a lot of responsibility towards it. There is a sense of groundingness too, right? With Saturn, there is something to hold on to there when it comes to these archetypes of where we are headed. But the square to Uranus is really going to be quite a struggle, because Taurus is about the natural cycle unfolding, and there is no getting around the death and rebirth process and the timeline of metamorphosis. You can't just like jump from one side to the other without going through the growing pains. And in this process, the metamorphosis pains. And that's, I think, what we're going through right now. And what we are going to find is that there are mindsets and there is mental constructs and the neural pathways in our brain that are needing also to be overhauled in order to get to this point. And we may have to just cut our own heads off in some ways. And as you can see, we have the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Scrolls interacting here in this reading. So I mean, the moon coming into Taurus can't come soon enough today. The moon also in Aries is going to square Pluto, and is going to square Pluto at Andromedan galaxy starseed markings, okay? And Andromedan starseeds, freedom. Oh boy, freedom. You want those wings to come out and spread, and there is no room for any confinement. And so this is just making it even more apparent and more obvious to us right now, especially if you have strong Andromedan starseed traits, because freedom and independence is truly the only thing with Andromedan starseed individuals, right? It is primary. These people are the Andromedan starseeds are the impetus for social revolution and evolution, because freedom and independence are the highest order for Andromedan starseeds. Andromedan galaxy starseeds. These are the only starseeds I know of personally in my study that are outside of our own galaxy. And that we want to spread our wings and fly. And Pluto squaring that point at the moon is, again, we can't bypass the metamorphosis process, and this is what we're experiencing right now. And so if you're feeling pain, if you're feeling emotional upheaval, if you are feeling frustration, if you want to get past it and you don't want to feel the uncomfortable aspect, and you don't want to put the work into pushing yourself out of the cosmic egg into a new form. Ooh, it's going to be rough. It's rough already. And this is part of this new moon cycle, right? How are we going to overcome our own personal passions to eventually teach from a place of deep wisdom? Well, we're going through it right now. We're going through the process that is going to be the stuff that we teach this wisdom from. We are learning it, we are feeling it, and it is substantial. So that egg and that spider, right? What does the spider do? Weaves the web, weaves our own narrative of life, weaves our own home, right? Comes out of our own body, and they were all just hovering around this massive egg, right? That creating a space for something new to come out. And that's really what we've been doing. Just like the caterpillar weaves its own cocoon from its body. It's the same thing. And we are in this process right now. Wow. Whew. So let's look, now that you had a chance to look at it, let's look at all of these things. All right, so the Six of Discs, success, the moon in the second decan of Taurus. This is the energy coming into the moment. The good news about the Six of Discs is that there is a wiser attitude about material possessions here, because we've come out of the Five of Discs, which is this is the worry, and this is the loss of everything. And so nothing is taken for granted at this point. And so there is a sense of, we know what it takes to get here to this material success, in our material world, in our resources, what we value, the nuts and bolts of reality. And losses are not taken for the end either, because again, we understand that we've managed to survive. We've managed to come out the other side of the pit of loss and overcoming of a crisis. So even just coming into this moment, and again, God, the moon coming into Taurus cannot come soon enough. My God, it is, even though the moon is also in a sextile, it's in a sextile to the sun today at this moment of emergence from the chrysalis. If we can attune ourselves, our own creative potency, if we can attune ourselves to the universal cosmic order, right? Attune to the music of the spheres, attune ourselves to the universal order. That's really going to support this process, as opposed to us trying to resist it, trying to use our own personal energy to do it. And not letting go of what it is that is constantly roiling around in our heads. I can't tell you how many nights I've woken up just laying there with all of these really anxious thoughts just coming out of nowhere, keeping me up for a reason I don't understand. And it's really just, it's a program that's running itself out. Okay. So we are coming into this moment with a sense of nothing will be taken for granted. We've developed this material success as a result of crisis already coming into this moment. And even with the success and the material success and our wise attitude about it, here we are still, the death card, right? Scorpio in the 8th house. Saturn really in the 8th house, actually, with the death card, but it represented by Scorpio. So this is really here, the heart of the moment is death, metamorphosis, endings and beginnings. And we have to go through it all the way down from the microcosm within our very soul, all the way up to the global experience as well. And we are going through it in real time. And in order to make place for something new, we have to, things have to be destroyed and returned back to whence they came. And this is really hard for a lot of us. And there are many people still in the mindset right now that they are going to just go back to normal. And it's really painful to watch, and it's painful to behold. And there's nothing that some people are able to say that is going to change their minds. This is all experiential. But in this moment, here we are making place for something new. The transformation and metamorphosis has to come from the destruction of something. We have to make space in order to create something new. And that's where we're at right now. And it's really about each of us creating ourselves anew. And that will then reverberate out into the new world that we want to live in. And we are headed there. Again, with Saturn, there's no getting around it. Saturn in Aquarius. And again, it's going to square Uranus. So it's not coming easy. Okay. It's not coming easily, and it's frustrating people. And it's really, it's very painful. I have no doubt that going through a biochemical overhaul and changing your entire form as a caterpillar to a butterfly is not exactly easy or feels good. And so this is the process we're going through right now. But at least as we come into this moment, we've learned that not all is lost when material aspects are lost. We gained success in the past. We've gone through these processes in the past, okay? And we've learned something from it. And we understand that it'll come back around again. This is really where Uranus can work in our favor. So the moon is going to also meet Uranus when it squares Saturn. So again, we will have at least some measure of emotional and intuitive sense that we can use our imaginations and see where we're going as while we still have to let it naturally play out. Wow, it's gonna be it's gonna be intense. Okay, so here we go. The King of Forces at the top of our awareness right now. So this is power of nature all around this person. Okay. So, extremely calming influence. You can see that there is a wolf and a rabbit together that normally wouldn't be just chilling like that. But because of the influence of this individual, this King of Forces, right? He's got the violet nebula, above him, right? Doesn't have any armor, doesn't have a helmet. He has his small sword. He's got this beautiful deer, or elk really coming up to him. This is just an individual here that exudes calming influence and is completely connected to nature and earth energy. Again, here go back to Taurus, right? The moon is in Taurus, even Uranus in Taurus, Mars in Taurus, okay? Very much getting into that last decan of Taurus, which is, just really embedding himself, Mars, as the divine masculine, our will to action, embedding ourselves into the process of unfolding. At this point in the growing cycle in late Taurus, this is when the sprout is pushing itself up through the soil to reach the sun. And so being able to be calm, being able to connect to this earth energy. This is at the top of our awareness, where our focus is, where our focus needs to be. This is where we can connect into that violet flame, that violet nebula, and put our focus on this calming and very powerful influence. Now, this could be a person in your life. This could be you embodying this. This could be us in general embodying this. There's a lot of court cards. Yesterday was the Queen of Kings. Now we have the King of Forces. So there is a sense that we have to each individually embody these energies and keep it in our awareness as we move through these times, because this person is not worried about the natural process. Okay, they are completely plugged in to the Earth's crystal matrix right now. And again, that Earth Star chakra, it's important. It's really important that we are plugging into that network so that we can hold the higher frequency of photonic light, because that is where Gaia is right now. And she has that crystalline, that diamond core that has a piezoelectric effect. It allows energy to move across the surface, right? This is important that we are continuing to do this so that we can hold what's coming in. Now, where we're subconsciously rooted here, here's the Queen of Scrolls reversed, okay? This is a very beautiful woman. She has this Akashic record scroll that she's holding. There is this very thin veneer of a web, right? It's translucent. I mean, there's nothing really holding us back other than this really thin boundary here between us and this information, this scroll, this Akashic, our own Akash, right? Now, reversed here, there's a separation from this. We are not totally, there's a separation here, but at the same time, it feels like it might be a good one. It might be time to separate ourselves from the old mental constructs, right? And there's an uncertainty about the future. Absolutely. This is part of it. We don't know what's going to happen. We have no idea. We can use our imagination, right? Uranus and Taurus. We can use our imagination to see what's coming, but we don't know totally. And if we're coming into a completely new version of ourselves, it's time to write some new records. And so in some ways, we're letting go of what we thought we knew. And this is really at the root of things, is letting go of these mental constructs. And maybe we don't even realize we're holding on to them. That became very clear to me, that there was a lot that I was holding on to that I did not realize I was holding on to. And now it's keeping me up at night. And I'm like, wow, at least I have the awareness to know at this point that that's what's going on, and I can work with that. And so this is a phase of deepening of our understanding, but we have to kind of let go of where we've been mentally, and those neural pathways that have informed everything else, right? Because we can't hold on to the old thought structures and we got to clear out some contracts here and let go of some negative thought patterns that are not serving us anymore. And I think at the root of things here, this is meant to bring our awareness energetically to this and letting us know that we are, in fact, subconsciously maybe running old programs here. This is part of the shadow work, okay? And it has been hard. It has been hard. And of course it was going to be, and we've talked about this many times, that it was going to be difficult, and that it was just going to be more challenging as we move along, okay? And as the moon moves into Pisces soon, we are, like I said, those boundaries are going to go away. We're going to start feeling into these experiences way more than we ever have. And in some ways, this is great because it allows us to not bypass things mentally anymore. But this is where addictions really start to come to the surface. And this is where being led astray, because our intuition starts to get much more powerful here. And when the sun comes to meet Neptune later in the month, it's going to be even more so, or in March. It's really because Neptune rules Pisces. So there is a deepening of our understanding here, and there's some things we need to let go of in the subconscious when it comes to our thought patterns, and we'll see with the guidance here that will allow. So here's the Queen of Swords. This is the outcome here of our horizon, right? Our horizon of consciousness versus our meridian of our power, right? The Queen of Swords, she's independent, sensitive, and graceful. You can see that she has a perspective that's well above everything else, and in fact, she has removed the head of somebody and made sure that she is well above everything as she holds this head. What's interesting is we are getting Mars is getting very close to the fixed star Algol, which is in the Pleiades. And Algol is 26, 27 degrees Taurus. We're getting there. It's going to be another week or so, but this is the head of Medusa, right? So off with the head. And maybe this is not a terrible thing. Now, there's wisdom here. There's a sense of imagination and perception. But it also has the potential, you know what I mean? She has the potential to be kind of cruel and cold, right? You can see she's high above everything else. She's on her throne, on her pedestal, so to speak. She has her sword, and she's just, she sees with her intuition what needs to go, but she uses her intellect and her logic to make sure that it goes, right? There's a sensitivity here and a reflection, but there's also the cold, hard truth. And sometimes that does end up being like taking somebody's head off in some ways. But this is really with the death card being at the heart of all of this. Where we are headed here is just cutting out the thought forms, cutting out the old, outdated ideas, cutting out the old version of ourselves that is not serving us anymore, and the thought patterns. And this is about, again, how do we hold the line and hold our position without letting go of our sensitivity? And this is really going to help this, because we do need to stay centered to a certain extent, but we don't want to be completely, we don't want to be so in our heads that we don't allow ourselves to be sensitive or imaginative at all. So this is a really good combination of those things, of the Queen being the water and the sensitivity and the empathy, but at the same time using her logic. And this is where it's really headed. So cutting out those thought processes that don't serve us anymore. So with the guidance here, the light of the world, number 10. So we're looking at a culmination point, right? With the 10, the end of a cycle, beginning of a new one. And this is the light of the world, right? As you see, when this is upright, is the hermit coming to the door. He's got the halo, he's got the lantern, and this is our higher self coming and knocking, right? And you got the cat here, who's just like, hey dude, somebody's at the door. And our ego consciousness, even though the window's open, we're looking at the cat, not necessarily looking at the door. And so the question is, are you going to open it or not? Well, when it's reversed like this, we are definitely not opening the door, or we're only opening it when it seems to serve our own personal needs, which really comes down to we're only connecting to our higher self when we start to really struggle and not maintaining a consistent connection to that part of ourselves when things are going well. And I can attest to this personally, I think, just because I personally got hit out of nowhere in the last couple of days with just so much mental and anxiety and just all of my own shadow and all of my own struggle. And it made me realize, it's in these moments where you start to just like release and like let go. And you really ask, you really ask and you really are like, oh, I'll open the door now. Otherwise you were just like, I don't want to deal with, I don't want to answer the door. What do they want? And so the whole time our higher self's been knocking and we've been kind of avoiding it. And so now when the death card comes in, it's just like, shunk. And you're like, oh shit, I gotta pay attention now. I'm going to answer that door. Help me, higher self. Help me, God. This is a reminder that all we need to do really in order to do this is to, that king of forces, we can really connect to the natural energy and to the earth energy and the power of the earth and to allow this energy to move through us. But we have to be connected to our higher guidance more than just when we're struggling, right? And that's going to become, or more than when, it's shunk, when the head is lopped off and we're facing that death moment and we're like, oh, damn. We need to cultivate this on a regular basis. Again, this is about holding the line, right? And there's the mouse keeps coming up. You're overlooking important details. And I say this is one of the important details that we're overlooking, is being alert to what is knocking, right? Being alert and thoughtful to the stirrings of our higher self and our soul that is always available. Like there's always guidance available and it's knocking. And we don't want to wait until we've had our head chopped off before we're like, oh, damn, I need some help. And I think that this is just reminding us, we need to be more determined. We need to be more orderly. We need to be more alert and cautious and detail oriented, and get into that discernment, as well. And to be aware of what is our higher guidance and what is just some salesman knocking at the door, because that's going to come up so big when the sun starts moving into Pisces, because there's nothing really to, like I said, there's no boundary there anymore. So you're just dissolving into everything. So it's important that we pay closer attention to what's going on. It's pretty clear what's happening here. Pay closer attention, because there's major metamorphosis happening. So when it comes to, that deepening of understanding and letting go, we need to create a sacred space, of course, and some solitude, and we need to stop, again, letting just anything into our sphere. And part of that is this, how do we cultivate that without shutting down our heart? Well, that Orion energy, again, is really about mastering this willpower. And part of it is creating a sacred space in your own head. In your own head, you need to create a sacred space, some privacy and some perspective so that you can cultivate your discernment and your intuition without being inundated with all of these messages and signals, okay? And so there are definitely things you can do. Energetic hygiene, oh my Lord. I didn't realize how important it would be. And so there are things you can do. There are certain types of minerals and crystals that you can use to protect yourself. Black tourmaline is good. Moldavite is good. Malachite is good. What else can be really protective? Copper, natural copper will just ground you. Let's see. Citrine is a great way to clear. Citrine is amazing because you don't have to actually work to clear it itself, right? It just works to clear your energy field. So those are just some examples of minerals that will help in this process. But it's really about creating a sacred space in your own head, okay? And not allowing in any of the signals that are not here for your highest good, including, those anxious thoughts that keep running around, because they are there to take you off course, and they are there to keep you in a lower resonance with your disempowerment. And be easy on yourself. They're giving you information, but you don't want to feed it. And so again, sacred space, make your mind a sacred space, right? That tinfoil hat is no joke, okay? And along with that is the karmic trench, but it's reversed. We're falling out of the karmic trench, okay? And there are difficult situations. Oh, look at the death card. And Queen of Swords, lopping off the head, that'll knock you out of those thought patterns. So either you've done it on your own, or something's coming along, just like this death card, that is going to knock it out. You're going to knock you out of this trench and wake you up and be like, oh shit, I need to set up new patterns. Now, it's one thing when you get knocked out of the trench, right? It's another to establish new neural pathways. You can't just expect to get knocked out of. This is what happens a lot of times. This is why we have, like, when you have a situation that like really devastates you, like you lose a relationship, lose a job, or something to that effect, and then you find yourself going right back into the same pattern with a different person or a different situation. It's because you actually have to do the work to develop and maintain new neural pathways. So there is here this opportunity, right? For as painful and destructive as it is, especially Saturn square Uranus, oh my God, it is going to knock us out of that trench, all right? And if we create our minds as a sacred space, it will allow us to do the work in order to create these new neural pathways, to be able to imagine our future as we want it, so that we can energetically go there and align with it and attract it to us. That's what the law of attraction is. It's not like I want these things, and if I think about them all the time, I will get them. No, you have to create the resonance as if they already exist, and then you attract it because you are aligned with those aspects that are the same vibration, right? New patterns. The Saturn, like I said, Saturn square Uranus is gonna knock us out of this trench, thankfully, okay? And if we have a sacred space in our own mind, we will be able to see that for what it is, and we will be able to make space for new to come in and make sure that it's what we want, okay? Wow. But we can't do that if we keep, going over the same old shit in our minds, or keep, feeding all of that anxiety, feeding all of that fear, feeding all of the, how do I put this? Just this naivete about, oh, everything's going to go back to normal. It's just not, right? But that's how we know that something new is being created, okay? There is no going back into the shell. And on the 19th, when the sun squares the moon, that's exactly the crisis we're going to face. So we're going to have Saturn square Uranus tomorrow. Sun moves into Pisces on the 18th. Then we have the sun squaring the Gemini moon on the 19th, and then Mercury is going to move direct. It is going to be quite the rest of the week. And so take today to really get yourself attuned to the music of the spheres and allow that to pull you in your personal experience through this metamorphosis, okay? And stop trying to control any aspect of it. And keep love as the highest right now. And that's becomes more and more difficult as these situations become more and more apparent to pull us out of our center. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Everything you need is in the description box below. Come to Telegram, way more fun. I mean, you can still use Facebook. I'm still there posting on Facebook, but Telegram's way more fun. We got a chat going. People are sharing stuff in a way they never had on Facebook, which I really like. If you are interested in booking a reading, understanding your starseed nature, understanding your soul's karmic evolutionary process, you can go to catalystenergies.net and check out the services and book right through the website. You can check out the testimonials. I haven't really blogged much, but I think I'm going to do that for the weekly coming up, the weekly astrology. So that's cool. If you want to check this out on BitChute, it'll be uploading any minute now. And you can, support alternative platforms. Yeah, guys, take good care of yourselves, okay? Be easy on yourselves and realize everything is here. In the words of Matt Kahn, everything is here to help you. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing. But this is part of this lunar cycle right now, is that we are going through this process. And if we can see it for what it is, then we have the opportunity then to teach very deep wisdom from this place. But it's not going to come without us having to struggle our way out of the egg. So take care, everybody. Have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.